Hello, and welcome to Bladed Game Chats. My name is Alex, and I'm here with my co-host, Winter.
Hello, everybody.
We're here to offer an honest and thorough discussion of personal experiences playing video games firsthand. So this podcast creates a space to appreciate games and converse about their contribution to the gaming industry, culture, and our personal lives. So if you are wondering what a video game is about, or wanting a full deep dive conversation, this show helps you make decisions as we review video games and share stories from our gaming adventures. Today, we point our blade to Deep Rock Galactic. Deep Rock was developed by Danish studio Ghost Ship Games, and the consoles that this game is available to play on are Xbox, PlayStation, and Steam.
We've located a glyphid nest. The dreadnoughts go there to pupate, so your primary objective is to locate their cocoons, destroy both them and their inhabitants by any means necessary. Bring plenty of ammo, they can take a punch.
So Deep Rock Galactic is a cooperative first-person shooter. Gameplay consists of missions that take place in fully destructible, procedurally generated cave systems. These have varying terrain generation, objectives, hazards, and enemies depending on the selected biome and mission type. Upon landing in a cave via an orbital drop pod, players must complete a mission objective such as mining resources or repairing abandoned equipment. While doing so, they must fight hostile aliens, manage a limited supply of ammunition, and navigate the cave. Once the objective is complete, players can start an extraction sequence, where players must backtrack through the cave to an escape pod in order to safely exit along with the collected resources. Players can play missions solo or up to a group of 3 other players. The players can choose one of 4 playable classes: Scout, Engineer, Gunner, and Driller. Each class has a unique loadout of weapons and tools to give them varied capabilities in combat and navigation.
Donkey, come here! Oh, I'm out of here!
So let's hop into the world build and stories sequence. Let's talk about the characters, bosses or enemies, or art style, or mechanics and playability. I guess let's start with what characters we normally picked first, like the main characters we chose, right? So I mainly play a scout, right? And a scout is one of those types of classes that'll just run out ahead of everybody and is the fastest amongst the group.
Yep.
So I normally light up the caves because I'm the only class that has that ability to shoot torches up and that sticks it to the ceiling. But I can also have a grapple hook, which is my favorite tool in this game because I can just swing across the cave no matter where I'm going, collect something that's attached to the ceiling if nobody else can reach it, stuff like that. Winter, what you want to describe your class?
So I usually play the engineer, who is a very technical sort of playstyle character. So each class, you have 4 like weapons, quote unquote, things that you shoot. 2 of them are like damage. You're meant to use them to hurt the enemies. And there's one that's like primary and one that's like secondary, and you have a couple different options for each class. Then there's your like utility piece, which for you is the grapple hook. For the engineer, it's placeable turrets. And so I got to place turrets down, and you can like call them back from a river and they'll like deconstruct themselves and fly back to you. And then the last piece is your support weapon, which for you is the flare gun, which is probably the most, one of, if not the most useful.
Yeah.
Like, having the ability to not only see pretty much everything, but you can just get to pretty much everything, no problem. But yes, the Engineer's support weapon is a platform gun that spawns like horizontal little circular platforms wherever you shoot it. So you can use it to like climb up walls. And as you upgrade it, one of the upgrades you get is it significantly reduces fall damage. So I will so often, either after falling or if I'm on a cliff and I can't get down, I just jump, shoot a platform right below me, and I fall on it and I'm fine.
I think it's really cool because of that aspect of different characters have different abilities and capabilities for supporting each other. And I think that's the main purpose of this game, is to play with your friends and make sure you all are playing different characters.
Yeah.
Because, for example, if the scout and the engineer were just the only two playing together, that combination really helps, because if there is something that I need to grab that is in a specific location on the ceiling, but I have nowhere to like put my feet or land on,
right,
the engineer can shoot a platform up there. I can use my grapple hook, swing all the way up there, land on the platform, and then mine what we need to mine. And it makes it so much easier than if you were, say, a gunner. I mean, yes, the gunner has a zip line, but there's still nowhere to land.
Right. So the gunner's two things are a deployable zip line, which have very limited ammo capacity, and also have limited like angle of elevation, so you can't do it too high up, otherwise you can't get there. So Gabriel's the one that usually plays the gunner, and he has done a great job learning how to like where to place yourself and where to shoot the thing to get to where you need to go. Even if it looks like it's just a tunnel straight up, he's able to like boop, 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 all the way up to the top.
Especially because the gunner is also like that heavy tank on our team.
Their guns have the highest like damage output. It's all like big heavy machine guns and pistols that explode things. And they have a deployable shield that they stick down like Bubble Shield from Halo, which is like which is so helpful for when anyone needs to be revived, because the shield will like push away other enemies. So if you're dead on the ground and all the enemies are just like on top of your dead body trying to eat you, if a shield gets placed like in the middle, it'll blow up like a bubble and all the enemies just get pushed away from it, and the hero just walks in, heals you, and you're up and fine.
The driller is sort of that one class that we tend to avoid the most, just because also we don't have a fourth player that usually plays with us. Their abilities and capabilities are not as unique as the other characters, in my opinion.
They're one support. No, they have the two support things. So one of them are like two drill arms that like go and you just like drill through stone, and it is so much better than using your pickaxe. Like, it's faster and it creates a bigger hole. My least favorite thing is you cannot mine ores with it. They're just not objects that you can hit with the mine chunks, which means if you want to mine the ore, you either have to use your pickaxe or use the drills to mine out every piece of stone touching the ore, and then all of it will just break.
Yep.
And their other support item was the C4 charge, which you just kind of like throw and remotely detonate, which is really good for damage. It also damages the landscape, but not significantly enough to be like, that's the reason you'd use it, you know? There's a lot more thought going into the driller, and their weapons are a lot more status focused, especially like their higher damage ones. Like, they have like the set of pistols and whatnot, and then they have a flamethrower, like the choice between a flamethrower, a cold gun, or an acid gun, that all do slightly different things, but none of them do like crazy amounts of damage or have crazy amounts of ammo like any of the other characters.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think Driller is my second character, and I always feel like I am out of ammo as the Driller. And any time that we go into like try and defeat any big boss, anyone with a lot of health, I'm switching off the Driller and back to the Engineer, just because there's so many more higher damaging, more useful weapons over there than there are with the Driller.
Send the cleansing pod, please.
Request cleared. Sending in cleansing equipment.
Lighting!
Requested equipment is at your location. Get cleaning, team. The rockpox won't eradicate itself.
We need to fight the rockpox.
So transitioning into personal connections of topics of conversation. The first thing that comes to mind, and I think the main thing we should highlight, are things called deep dives.
Oh, dude.
And these types of game modes are sort of one of like the hardest things in the game. Instead of doing one mission and then once you finish, you're done, deep dives are a set of 3 different missions and increasingly gets harder as you go on. But also, the ammunition that you have from the start is going to be the same amount and health as you continue through the deep dive. You're constantly trying to stay alive and gain enough to continue to survive.
Most of the missions that you go into in deep dives have extra modifiers on them, saying that things are more dangerous, or XYZ, there's not enough oxygen, or the enemies are going to rip your arms off because they're as strong as Superman or something. There's a lot of variability in what we can play and how it feels.
One of the things that I clearly remember with deep dives and the different characters combos is when you and Gabriel went down at like whatever a certain point it may be. Usually, from what I remember, it was right at the end of the mission.
Oh, yeah.
And so the coolest part about these things is that you don't need to have everybody alive to continue the game.
Yup.
And to try and explain in more detail, the story goes as Winter and Gabriel go down. And then I am still alive, and since I am the fastest, I can zoom past enemies pretty quickly.
Right.
And as we were being bombarded by a huge amount of spiders and enemies, it's just hordes of them swarming you guys, there was no opportunity for me to like run in and revive you, because reviving is a duration based action. While we're waiting during a countdown for a rocket that is going to continue without us, I had to make a quick decision to leave you guys behind, just so I could make it into the ship so we can continue the level. So I remember specifically just me like rushing to the ship as you guys fall down, just so we can continue together, because it doesn't matter if you need to be alive, because if I make it to the ship, we can continue together regardless, and you guys will just respawn.
We finish the missions, and if it's something like a mining mission, or like there are lots of mission types where the map that it generates is really, really big and expansive, and you're going from a massive room through a very long tunnel into another massive room into a very long tunnel into another. Especially things like there are missions where you're riding a massive drill bot. You ride it all the way there.
Yeah.
You collect what you need to collect, and then you have to traverse all the way back the entire path that it mined. And sometimes going back is so much harder than going there, because of whatever bullshit, except if you're Alex, because you have a grapple hook, and you just swing. Not only a grapple hook, it's like a grapple hook that has unlimited ammo and like a 2-second recharge.
It's so funny because you guys are like, you guys think you're so cool, and you're like, I'm gonna be the first one back to the ship, and then I just go, and then you guys are just like, alright, there's Alex with his grapple hook.
Yep.
No matter what level of difficulty we're playing, as long as I make it to the ship, we're continuing the game.
Yup.
Secondary objective completed. Fine job.
I ordered a resupply.
Supply pod requisitioned. Launching now.
Time to restock. Ammo taken. Yeah, I'm taking some of the ammo.
The narrator is also hilarious because you could accidentally bump into a barrel that goes off a cliff into like a danger zone, and then the narrator's like, alright, let's not trash the place, guys.
Barrels don't belong in the launch bay. It may cause problems. there's a little bar that you can go to. Like, part of the resources that you can collect are little ingredients to make drinks. And one of those ingredients are for drinks that actually help you. Like, this one gives you increased health for your next mission, or you can carry more. But most of them are just incredibly goofy and just meant to do this wild effect. There's one called, like, the wormhole beer, and you'd, like, drink, and you'd be teleported outside the space station, like, usually right next to the planet. And you'd just be, like, floating there next to the planet, watching everything else happen.
I remember the first time you did that to me. You're like, hey, Alex, dude, you should come over here and drink this drink over here. And I made it especially for you. I'm like, okay. Drinks, gets teleported out into space, gets frozen, and dies. Yeah, there's a lot of little things about this game that make it feel special and unique compared to other games, and I think that's what the niche is about this, is that you're dwarves in a cave, right? It's a normal, like, material collector survival game, but also the fact that they play with that theme makes it lovable as a game.
And they do it so well. Like, there's not even really a story that's happening. You're part of a company that is hiring people to just mine out this planet for resources, and that's really all that's happening up until, recently, where you have the new updates where robots are coming and other companies are infiltrating. But
they managed to continue the feeling of playing this game throughout new updates and things that are yet to come. Right. And they do that really well by teasing on Twitter of, like, to their community, like, oh, this new game, or on TikTok, they make funny TikToks that are just like me when the scout goes ahead or something like that. They come up with random prompts that are just like, haha, that's funny. That happens when I play this game. Well, if you made it this far into the show, this is the part where we have to score it. So if you don't know how scoring works in this episode, we rate our rating out of 10. You're only going to hear this type of rating on this show, so things like IGN, where their rating out of 10 is very specific. Ours is as well, but to our standards. And so we have a set list of 1 through 10, and different words and different definitions of what that means to this show and to us. How this rating score works is that we each give our own opinion. I add the scores together and divide by the number of people on the show. So since there are only 2 hosts on the show today, I'll be dividing our score total by 2 to find the average. So Winter, what are your thoughts? What would you rate Deep Rock Galactic?
So I'd probably put it as an 8 out of 10, which we have described as a gem that is appreciated and honestly underrated. I feel like those that play this game like it a lot. Not necessarily like their number one top favorite game that they play all the time, but certainly something that I feel like should be way more widely known, or at least widely played. I don't feel like it's as popular as it should be, with how well they did.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I think I'm also going to rate it an 8 out of 10, but my opinion more strains towards, like, yes, the game is a gem that is appreciated and honestly underrated, but I would have to argue that the community that it holds is very strong. And even though it's not widely known as a big name game, the people that play this game. Yeah. And they know everything about it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what keeps the game alive, is that the fans that play it know so much about it that they care for what's going to be in the game, but also the developers themselves have that enthusiasm, have that drive to keep wanting to make good content that also connects to their community.
Yeah, and you can even, like, get customization, lots of customization, without touching the Battle Pass once. I rarely touch the Battle Pass. When we used to play this game a lot more, I think like once a week, if we played it like 2 or 3, maybe 4 nights a week, I would go to the Battle Pass station like once a week and spend my coins, and I'd get a couple of things.
So that leaves us with Deep Rock Galactic as an 8 out of 10. Well, thank you so much for listening, and thank you, Winter, for hosting with me.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me.
So please go follow them down in the description, and tune in next time where we point our blade to the next video game and find out what they mean to you. Bye!